Tectonic plates. The crust, upper part, of the Earth has been formed out of 7 major and some minor plates. These are called tectonic plates. A tectonic plate, also called lithospheric plate, is a massive, irregularly shaped slab of solid rock, generally composed of both continental and oceanic lithosphere. Plate size can vary greatly, from a few hundred to thousands of kilometers across. The Pacific and Antarctic plates are among the largest. Plate thickness also varies greatly, ranging from less than 15 kilometers for young oceanic lithosphere to about 200 kilometers or more for ancient continental lithosphere. Converging and diverging tectonic plates. Converging tectonic plates. Some plates come towards each other and form convergent boundary. Diverging tectonic plates. Some plates move away from each other and form divergent boundary. Tectonic plates and plate boundaries. The Earth's outer shell, the lithosphere, consisting of the crust and uppermost mantle, is divided into a patchwork of large tectonic plates that move slowly relatively to each other. There are 7-8 major plates and many minor plates. Varying between 0 to 100 millimeters per year, the movement of a plate is driven by convection in the underlying hot and viscous mantle. Earthquakes, volcanic activity, mountain building, and oceanic trench formation occur along plate boundaries in zones that may be anything from a few kilometers to a few hundred kilometers wide. 3 types of boundaries. 1. Transform boundaries, where plates slide past each other. The relative motion of the plates is horizontal. They can occur underwater or on land, and crust is neither destroyed nor created. Because of friction, the plates cannot simply glide past each other. Rather, stress builds up in both plates, and when it exceeds the threshold of the rocks, the energy is released, causing earthquakes. 2. Convergent boundaries, where 2 plates are colliding. Subduction zones occur when one or both of the tectonic plates are composed of oceanic crust. The denser plate is subducted underneath the less dense plate. The plate being forced under is eventually melted and destroyed. 1. Where oceanic crust meets ocean crust. Island arcs and oceanic trenches occur when both of the plates are made of oceanic crust. Zones of seafloor spreading can also occur behind the island arc, known as back arc basins. These are often associated with submarine volcanoes. 2. Where oceanic crust meets continental crust. The denser oceanic plate is subducted, often forming a mountain range on a continent. The Andes is an example of this type of collision. 3. Where continental crust meets continental crust. Both continental crusts are too light to subduct, so a continent-continent collision occurs, creating especially large mountain ranges. The most spectacular example of this is the Himalayas. 3. Divergent boundaries, where 2 plates are moving apart. The space created can also fill with new crustal material sourced from molten magma that forms below. Divergent boundaries can form within continents but will eventually pen up and become ocean basins. 1. On land, divergent boundaries within continents initially produce rifts, which produce rift valleys. 2. Under the sea, the most active divergent plate boundaries are between oceanic plates and are often called mid-oceanic ridges. Major physiographic divisions. 1. The Himalayan mountains. 2. The northern plains. 3. The peninsular plateau. 4. The Indian desert. 5. The coastal plains. 6. The islands. The Himalayan mountains. The Himalayas, geologically young and structurally fold mountains, stretch over the northern borders of India. These mountain ranges run in a west-east direction from the Indus to the Brahmaputra. The Himalayas are 2,400 kilometers long, 400 kilometers to 150 kilometers wide from Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh respectively. The Himalayas represent the loftiest and one of the most rugged mountain barriers of the world. The altitudinal variations are greater in the eastern half than those in the western half. The Himalayas have three parallel ranges in the longitudinal extent, namely Great or Inner Himalayas, also called Himadri; Middle Himalayas or Himachal; Outer Himalayas or Shaiwaliks. Himadri. It is the most continuous range, consisting of the loftiest peaks with an average height of 6,000 meters. It contains all prominent Himalayan peaks. The folds of the Great Himalayas are asymmetrical in nature. The core of this part of Himalayas is composed of granite. It is perennially snowbound, and a number of glaciers descend from this range. Himachal. The range lying to the south of the Himadri forms the most rugged mountain system and is known as Himachal or Lesser Himalaya. The ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitude varies between 3,700 and 4,500 meters and the average width is of 50 km. While the Perpanjal range forms the longest and the most important range, the Dhaladhar and the Mahabharat ranges are also prominent ones. This range consists of the famous Valley of Kashmir, the Kangra and Kulu Valley in Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for its hill stations. Shaiwaliks. The outermost range of the Himalayas is called the Shaiwaliks. They extend over a width of 1050 km and have an altitude varying between 900 and 1100 meters. These ranges are composed of unconsolidated sediments brought down by rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located farther north. These valleys are covered with thick gravel and alluvium. The longitudinal valley lying between Lesser Himalaya and the Shaiwaliks are known as duns. Deer Dun, Kotli Dun and Patli Dun are some of the well-known duns. Besides the longitudinal divisions, the Himalayas have been divided on the basis of regions from west to east. These divisions have been demarcated by river valleys. For example, the part of Himalayas lying between Indus and Satluj has been traditionally known as Punjab Himalaya. The part of the Himalayas lying between Satluj and Kali rivers is known as Kumaon. Himalayas. The Kali and Tista rivers demarcate the Nepal Himalayas, and the part lying between Tista and Dahan rivers is known as Assam Himalayas. The Brahmaputra marks the easternmost boundary of the Himalayas. Beyond the Dahan Gorge, the Himalayas bend sharply to the south and spread along the eastern boundary of India. They are known as the Purvachal or the Eastern Hills and Mountains. These hills running through the northeastern states are mostly composed of strong sandstones, which are sedimentary rocks. Covered with dense forests, they mostly run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvachal comprises the Patkai Hills, the Naga Hills, the Manipur Hills and the Mizo Hills. The Northern Plains. The Northern Plain has been formed by the interplay of the three major river systems, namely, the Indus, the Ganga and the Brahmaputra along with their tributaries. This plain is formed of alluvial soil, the deposition of alluvium in a vast basin lying at the foothills of the Himalaya over millions of years, formed this fertile plain. It spreads over an area of 7 lakh square kilometer, the plain being about 2,400 kilometers long and 240 to 320 kilometers broad. is a densely populated physiographic division. With a rich soil cover combined with adequate water supply and favorable climate, it is agriculturally a productive part of India. Majalai, in the Brahmaputra River, is the largest inhabited riverine island in the world. The rivers in their lower course split into numerous channels due to the deposition of silt. These channels are known as distributaries. The northern plain is broadly divided into three sections. The Punjab Plains. The western part of the northern plains is referred to as the Punjab Plains. 2 Formed by the Indus and its tributaries. A large part of this plain lies in Pakistan. 3 The Indus and its tributaries, the Jhelum, the Chenab, the Ravi, the Beas, and the Satluj originate in the Himalayas. This section of the plain is dominated by the Dobes. The Ganga Plains. The Ganga Plains extends between the Ghaggar and Tista rivers. 2 It is spread over the states of Haryana, Delhi, Up, Bihar, partly Jharkhand and the West Bengal. The Brahmaputra Plains. 1 To the east of the Ganga Plains lies the Brahmaputra Plains. 2 This lies mostly in Assam. Divisions of the northern plains on the basis of relief features. The northern plains also have diverse relief features. These are a Babar. The rivers, after coming down from the mountains, deposit pebbles in a narrow area which is lying parallel to the slopes of the Shiwaliks. It is known as Babar. All the streams disappear in the Babar belt. Terai belt. The streams and the rivers re-emerge and create a wet swampy and marshy region known as the Terai. The Terai region is a thickly forested region, full of wildlife. See Banner. The largest part of the northern plains is formed of older alluvium. The Banner lies above the floodplains of the rivers and present a terrace-like feature. This soil contains calcareous deposits locally known as Kankra. Kadar. The newer and younger deposits of the floodplains are called Kadar. They are renewed almost every year, so they are fertile and thus ideal for intensive agriculture. The Peninsular Plateau is The Peninsular Plateau is tableland composed of the old crystalline, igneous and metamorphic rocks. It was formed due to the breaking and drifting of the Gondwana land. The plateau consists of 2 broad divisions. The Central Highlands. The Deccan Plateau. The Central Highlands, it lies to the north of the Narmada River covering a major area of the Malwa Plateau. The Vindhyan Range is bounded by the Central Highlands on the south and the Aravallis on the northwest. The further westward extension gradually merges with the sandy and rocky desert of Rajasthan. Rivers in this area, the Chambal, the Sind, the Badwa and Ken. The Central Highlands are wider in the west but narrower in the east. The eastward extensions of this plateau are locally known as the Bundelkhand and Bagelkhand. The Chota Nagpur Plateau marks the further eastward extension, drained by the Damodar River. The Deccan Plateau. It is a triangular landmass that lies to the south of the river Narmada. The Satpura Range bound its broad basin in the north while the Mahadev, the Kaimur Hills and the Michael Range form its eastern extensions. It is higher in the west and slopes gently eastwards. An extension of Deccan Plateau is also visible in the northeast locally, known as the Meghalaya, Karbi Angalong Plateau and North Kashmir Hills. It is separated by a fault from the Chota Nagpur Plateau. 3 prominent hill ranges from the west to east are the Karo, the Khasi, and the Jaintia Hills. A distinct feature of the Peninsular Plateau is the black soil area known as Deccan Trap. The Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats mark the western and the eastern edges of the Deccan Plateau respectively. The Indian Desert. The Indian desert lies towards the western margins of the Aravalli Hills. It is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall below 150 mm per year. It has arid climate with low vegetation cover. Luni is the only large river in this region. Barchans, crescent-shaped dunes, cover larger areas, but longitudinal dunes become more prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of barchans. The coastal plains. India has a long coastline which runs across the Arabian Sea in the west and the Bay of Bengal in the east. The Indian coastal plains are divided into the Western Coastal Plains and the Eastern Coastal Plains. The western coast is a narrow strip of land which is located between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea. It consists of three sections. The northern part of the coast is known as the Konkan, Mumbai Goa. The central part is called the Kannada Plain and the southern stretch is known as the Malabar Coast. The eastern coastal plains are located between the Eastern Ghats and the Bay of Bengal. These plains are wider than the western coastal plains. Many rivers such as the Krishna and Godavari have formed deltas in this region. The eastern coastal plains are known as the northern Sarkars in the northern part, and as the Coromandel Coast in the southern part. Lake Chilika, the largest saltwater lake in India, lies in the eastern coast. The islands. India is politically divided into 29 states and 7 union territories. National capital of India is Delhi. Among these 7 union territories, 2 are the island groups of India. Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Island are the 2 island groups of India. 1. Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep Islands are located in the Arabian Sea. The island is located in off coast of the Kerala state. Lakshadweep is the island group of India that has coral origin. These are coral islands located off the coast of the Ghats. Own country Kerala. It covers small area of 32 square kilometers. Kavarodi Island is the administrative headquarters of Lakshadweep. This island group has great diversity of flora and fauna. The Piti Island, which is uninhabited, has a bird sanctuary. Corals. Coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms, which live in colonies. They flourish in shallow, mud-free and warm waters. They secrete calcium carbonate, the coral secretion, and their skeletons from coral deposits in the form of reefs. They are mainly of 3 kinds: barrier reef, fringing reef and atolls. The Great Barrier Reef of Australia is a good example of the first kind of coral reefs. Atolls are circular or horseshoe-shaped coral reefs. 2. Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Port Blair is the capital of Andaman Nicobar Islands. Famous for the popular cellular jail, Port Blair has a tropical monsoon climate. Most common religion is Hinduism, followed by Christianity and Islam. Bengali is the most common language. Hindi, Tamil and Telugu are other languages spoken by the people. Tourism is the main leading economy. These islands lie close to equator and experience equatorial climate and has thick forest cover. India's only active volcano is found on Barren Island in Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. Conclusion. We saw that India is a country which has an immense number of physiographic divisions, and we can say that these physiographic divisions are the lifeline of our country because the mountains are the major sources of water and forest wealth. The northern plains are the granaries of the country. They provide the base for early civilizations. The plateau is a storehouse of minerals, which has played a crucial role in the industrialization of the country. The coastal region and island groups provide sites for fishing and port activities. Thus, the diverse physical features of the land have immense future possibilities of development.